Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Church of Violence. Good afternoon from my corner of the planet. It's a beautiful time to be Nigerian. I want to remind you, Nigeria will be great in our lifetime. We are not hustling for Nigeria to be great for our children. We are not hustling for our names to be written in records and then we'll be hailed when Americans will be enjoying America like we are Abraham Lincoln. No. I want to remind you that within the natural resources under the ground and above the ground and in the waters of Nigeria, and with the 200 million plus Nigerian people, Nigeria has more than enough to be great in less than 8 years. Emphasis on 8 years because as we speak, a man who ran for elections for 12 years, 3 election cycles, I always say I do not blame Nigerians for trying Muhammadu Buhari in 2015. He did not win that election. Jonathan saw the bloodbath that was coming and handed these charlatans a nation on a platter of gold. We all remember Secondus running mad and saying this will not stand. Cool. The man that lost an election in 2011 and unlike Peter Obi, who went out and told all his fans, do not fight, do not protest, do not quarrel, be long suffering, for I will fight this legally. This same man cried crocodile tears on national television and urged his fans and fanatics to go on a killing spree. They murdered more than 200 Nigerians and destroyed over 100,000 um, worth of 100,000 houses and property. It's on public record. That same Muhammadu Buhari, with the lying machinery of the Tinubu arm and the APC, was repackaged for Nigerians. Muhammadu Buhari on record, they insult Peter Obi today. Muhammadu Buhari, before 2015, did not even have a brewery that he convinced to come and invest in his hometown to his name. But they packaged this man. And one of the things that they lied about is a terminology that pisses me off till today, 8 years later. They told us he was a reformed Democrat. If you're a Democrat, you're a Democrat. If you believe in democracy, if you believe in government of the people, for the people, and by the people. How is it that Nigeria was a democracy in the early 1980s, but out of all our military rulers, Muhammadu Buhari went and usurped our democracy, and then you reward him with a democratic president later on in his life? There are certain travesties that have happened in the tragedy called Nigeria that breaks my heart. That man should have never been president, ever. But we move. We have survived 8 years of him. I told people in the beginning, there was a lot of Buhari will succeed. As you see today, Tinubu will succeed. Amen. There was a lot of amens said at the beginning of when Buhari came into power. Oh, Buhari, amen. He will do this, amen. Nigeria will do this, amen. Nigeria will be great under Baba Buhari, amen. Trash, F9, in all ramifications. We cannot point to one place, even in animal husbandry, which was one of the things he touted that he was good at. We cannot point in one place that Buhari made Nigeria better. There is no statistics, no data, no indices that proves that Nigeria is better off. Under the APC, we started commissioning projects that were not used the next day. We started commissioning projects that were not ready, and a lot of other travesties. I go into today's topic. Sometimes when I sit back and I ask myself the story of Hitler, the story of Germany, I wonder, were there no good Germans? Were there no Germans that looked at what Hitler was running and said, this is madness? Were there no Germans that were asking, why is it that these people put party above the country? Were there no Germans with conscience that said, we had lived with our Jewish neighbors for years? What is this man saying? And why are they killing them 1 million, 2 million, 3 million, 4 million? And then I understood what the media did in issues like that. Same thing happened in Nigeria. A whole tribe was demonized for a coup that had absolutely nothing to do with them. What is the business of Obinna Nnewi with a military guy who got up and started killing other people? What is the business of a massacre of 4 million, 3 million to 4 million Igbos just because some military guys did? Now, what they have called an Igbo coup, there have been several coups in this country. Which coup was called the Fulani coup, the Northern coup, the Middle Belt coup, the coup of Oladipo Dia, called the Yoruba coup, that also led to the subsequent massacre of their people? None on public record. We come again to this day and age. An election was had in Lagos. Babajide Sanwo-Olu has absolutely nothing to show. I remind Nigerians that we were not politically aware as at 2019 only. Because one thing Ambode said is also in our constitution. You cannot run for or be allowed to win elective office if you have a history of mental illness. And then Akinwumi Ambode did tell us that Babajide Sanwo-Olu had a file in Bagada General Hospital. I promise you, if the obedient movement was this strong back then, we would have dug up that file. And obviously, the eligibility of Sanwo-Olu would have been brought into question. That eligibility is still in question today, considering that that statement from Akinwumi Ambode was not pressed further or researched on. I leave that to whatever GRV has in his petition, if he is going to petition. I say all of this because Channels TV, People's Gazette, Sahara reporters in particular, they're not doing anything new. When I come on spaces in the last 1 year, even as a journalist, I have never quoted Sahara reporters as a credible source of facts or data. You can smell Sowore in everything they do. His temperament is behind all their reportings. You can always tell his lack of patience, his lack of decorum in his English. You can always smell it in every Sahara reporter's reporting. Now, one of the major things that saves us in this day and age is Twitter. Twitter is somewhere that you can make a statement and just right there under the comment section, your statement either will be supported or disputed. And in the disputes, people will get to learn, as I have always done. So, Twitter today in this country becomes one of the only apps where you can get credible information. That is why in the Buhari administration, it was the only social media app of engagement that was banned by this administration. It is not the only app where discussions are held. Discussions are held on Facebook. Discussions are also held on Instagram comment sections and WhatsApp and YouTube. But Twitter was the only one banned. It makes you wonder why. And remember, there were no Twitter spaces then. So we are here again. Channels Television is not compromised. They know what they are doing. If you know anything about the media, which I have, there are bills for everything. You pay and you have what you want posted. I would blame them, yes, but I will not blame them as well because I have always celebrated what is happening right now. I want the Nigerian state to crumble in the eyes of the Nigerian people. I don't want Nigeria to be destroyed. I don't want Nigeria to burn, but I want Nigeria to demystify herself completely to everybody, both as a bloc, as a tribe, as a religious collective, and in every other facet that we hide and tell ourselves lies about this non-entity of a country that we feel it is more than itself. So, Channels Television is not doing anything new. It is up to the average Nigerian to be able to look at information, bring out his phone, and go and verify this information for themselves. If you choose not to, at this point in my life, I can honestly not be bothered. Channels Television will do what they have to do, but it's also up to you. I remember when David Hundeyi was screaming at Nigerians recently, there was a post from Atiku, but the caption was not what the story said. But if you're a Nigerian at this point in your life, at this point in our country, and you're somebody who would see a caption and not go into the story to read it for yourself and understand for yourself, there is absolutely nothing nobody can do for you. There is really nothing nobody can do for you. The illiterates of the future are the people who cannot unlearn, relearn, and probably even learn new things. So clap for yourself. Your education was a waste, even if you're in the obedient movement. So I'm telling you all of this because we're going to get to a level of information where you cannot trust what your eyes will see or what your ears will hear. You must trust what your eyes have researched, what your ears have disseminated, before your mouth speaks on what it does not know about. So get ready. We are moving from the era of incompetence of Muhammadu Buhari into the era of renewed hopelessness. We are moving into the era of gaslighting as a national pastime. You are going to be gaslit the fuck out of your minds. You will wake up as a Nigerian, whether you live overseas or in Nigeria, and perpetually wonder if you are in the twilight zone with every information you're going to hear from this country. So it starts with Sudan crisis. Now, there's a lot to learn from Sudan as a country. But like I said, I don't count on Nigerians learning any lessons. I had a theory when we voted in Buhari in 2015 that we are going to be in the abyss politically for at least 24 years. Why? There is a type of person you vote into power that you forget that the head sets the precedence for the entire body. I'll give you a physical analogy. If you have a proper head, a head that is smart, a brain that is functional, and you have a useless, broken physical body, you can at least end up with Stephen Hawking, one of the most intelligent men in the history of the world, who suffered cerebral palsy and was paralyzed from the neck down, still a genius, one of the greatest astrophysicists in the planet. If you have a good head and a body that did not mature to fruity, you can end up with Aki and Popo. You can end up with intelligence. You can end up with packaging. You can end up a superstar. But I remind you, if you have a useless head, a non-functional brain, but the body of a giant, you are comatose and you are nothing but bed sores and you need help. That is what Nigeria is. Nigeria is the giant of Africa. But I promise you, I would have given anything for Nigeria to have been the genius of Africa and not the giant. Because if we were the genius of Africa, we would not be where we are. People in Lagos would not get up and be told that if you vote in a man who had a genealogy traceable to about 300 years back in Lagos, that Igbo people will be slapping your daughter's nyash on the road and this and that, and people went out and voted Babajide Sanwo-Olu back into power. But today, they're all complaining about traffic, this and that, and buildings are collapsing in Banana Island, and they are being, the owners of the building till today has not been revealed to the Nigerian people. Lagosians, congratulations one more time. You played yourself. Also, like I said, this Sudan crisis has one more time exposed Abike Dabiri. But if Abike Dabiri would learn the fine art of shutting the fuck up, there is a bigger idiot in this problem called Geoffrey Onyema, a man that has no business in foreign affairs. And from what I heard on Urban Legend, the only reason he's in government today is that he was the groomsman at Abakiari's wedding. Because I do not understand how after 8 years in power, the Muhammadu Buhari administration cannot proudly tell Nigerians, as a principle of foreign affairs, that we have added at least 6 to 10 new countries to the Nigerian passport on visa-free arrangements, or at least some brand new arrangements bilaterally within some other countries that buys Nigerians some new visa arrangements. But rather, I traveled to Kenya in 2019, landed in Kenya, paid $50 and got my visa free. And then in 2020, less than 6 months later, I heard you have to apply for a visa just to go to Kenya. Let me remind you people something that is not in our topic, but I will always say this on this space. Do not let APC gaslight you. Muhammadu Buhari is a failure. There's a reason he's apologizing to Nigerians and telling you that if you people disturb him in Kaduna, he'll go to Niger. He knows. Even his neighbors in Kaduna want to whoop his ass. He was a failure. There is no packaging. There is no packaging. There is no numbers. There is no data. There is no adjuring gelale. There is nothing that will remedy the failure that is Muhammadu Buhari. Twice. Once as a military president and another as a civilian president. I thank God for the video of yesterday that proves that he's hale and hearty enough to wear a military regalia and walk down the aisle, because we will be needing him to walk down the aisle of several court cases he will face once he does not have immunity anymore. He fucked around. He will find out. I also want to remind obedience, please remember, The charade that will happen on May the 29th is because APC is a cult and they have no regard for democracy. There is a possibility Bola Ahmed Tinubu will be sworn into power. It is nothing more than a birthday party. It is nothing more than an Owambe. Tinubu himself knows it's a charade. You need to remember in the video he did when he landed in Lagos, when they asked him about that day, he said, it's just another day, because he knows he has no legitimacy. It is just another day on the Nigerian calendar. It is just another Owambe, as they've always done in Eagle Square and in Aso Rock. My people, have no fear. Bola Ahmed Tinubu is not bigger than the Nigerian judiciary. Nigeria is bigger than the Nigerian constitution. Governors greater than him have been removed from power when they were found wanting. He will not be any different. Matter of fact, he will set the record in this country as the first president who rigged an election so ignorantly that proof is everywhere all over the country. The mandate will be returned from him, and I repeat, nothing will happen. There will be no unrest. There will be no pogroms against the Igbos. The same way there was zero celebration the day he won is the same way the nation will erupt in joyous laughter. He will set the record as the biggest carnival that will happen in Nigeria after the death of Sani Abacha. You would really know how many people voted in that election, because you cannot tell me that we set the record of the highest PVC collation at 97 million, but set the record of the lowest election turnout at 24 million voters. Absolute border dash. A man who won 8 million votes according to their INEC out of 24 million voters. If you do the math, that's at least 3 people for every one Tinubu fan. If it even ended up in a free-for-all, there are 3 people from every other party that will whoop the ass of one Jaga bandit. Trust me when I tell you, my people, the mandate will be collected from him and nothing will happen. Nothing will happen. Bashiru will get on a plane and get the fuck out of this country. Everybody will disappear. Nothing will happen. So, my people, May 29th, their cult will throw their party. It is the same way their cults threw a party the day people were massacred in Owo. It's another Owambe for them. Have no fear. Do not put your mind there. All eyes on the judiciary and all eyes on our mandate and our petition at the Supreme Court. Abike Dabiri, I did say this. $1.2 million divided by 40 buses is $30,000. A quick Google search of how much it will cost you right now, even in the Sudanese crisis, to leave Sudan is bordering around $4,500 to $6,500. Abike Dabiri has not told us whether these buses will run 2 trips, because if they say that we have Nigerians in their millions in Sudan and you're excavating students, if 5,000 students by 40 buses, it absolutely makes no sense. Has she told us whether those buses will run 2 or 3 trips if they're doing a mathematics at $30,000 per bus? I don't know why, but that math really pisses me off. The fact that they're doing 40 buses, $30,000 per bus at $1.2 million. That whole trip, this whole evacuation could be done at $400,000. And there was still enough money to steal. But anyway, from what I heard, they got to Egypt and they're facing the same crisis constitutionally that we're facing in Ethiopia. Countries do not respect Nigeria anymore. They never had, and it's getting worse under Muhammadu Buhari. I wonder what it will be like when we have Bola Ahmed Tinubu and Shettima in power, even if it's for 24 hours. I remind you people, it has always been Tinubu's dream to be Nigeria's president, no matter how short it is. And he has to be very careful. Words are powerful. He has gone around saying this several times. He will be Nigeria's president, and it will be for a very, very short time. And nothing will happen when the mandate is taken back. Nyesom Wike is so sad. It is very, very sad. He went from local government chairman. He's had a great run politically. It really should have peaked with vice president of the PDP, but he didn't get it, and then turned into a mad bull in the China shop, literally knocked up every piece of cutlery all over the place. He called APC a cancer. And today, APC is touting him as one of the smartest election riggers in the country. He's seen in a video with Bola Ahmed Tinubu and the rest. But I would also like to talk about this. Labour Party had a post that leaked from a handle that might have been the Labour Party handle or a troll handle from 2013. We'll all remember that we don't give a fuck about the Labour Party. That is why I've never been one of the people who canvass, Obidien should go and join LP. The party is trash. It is literally a bicycle that Peter Obi has to ride to Asu Rock. The Obidien movement has no affiliation to the Labour Party. The Labour Party's fuckery still exists in different facets and forms. So I saw that post, but like I will also say, there are several thousands of posts of people calling out Bola Ahmed Tinubu and the APC as being trash. Those same people today are the biggest facilitators, supporters, and pushers of that same movement. So I just want to point that out because like I said, this movement, this space is the powerhouse of the Obidien movement. Just in case you saw that and you felt down or you felt it was an L, it is absolutely not. The Labour Party was an opposition to Peter Obi at some point. It is what it is. I repeat, it is what it is. I have no doubts about Nyesom Wike. I have no doubts about it. If Bola Ahmed Tinubu is smart, every single person who followed him on the campaign trail would not even be in his cabinet for the 2 or 3 months that he will be president-select. But like I said, the APC is a party that puts party ideologies before Nigerians. I don't expect them to move this country forward at any point in time. The APC is A1 in opposition, F9 in governance. Nigerians, it's crazy, but I would put all this, like I said, if you're a praying person, put Nigeria in your prayers. Put Peter Obi in your prayers. Put our petition in your prayers. That man won the election. There is no other presidential candidate since the election ended that has been in the country, moving around, that has traveled overseas and come back. This man remains stainless. Everything they have thrown on him does not stick. You are supporting the right candidate. The fact that you are obedient is one of the best things you can do. We have one of the greatest political movements in Africa. We installed a president in 9 months. The mandate was stolen, but when you go to General Oluchi's page and you see the work she's doing with the petitions, you see that even if the Supreme Court judges have been compromised, paid, whatever, I don't care. The law works with evidence, the law works with facts, the law works with proof. NDLEA can get up and talk whatever nonsense they feel like. All eyes will forever remain on the Nigerian judiciary. And then when they have made the final say, the people of Nigeria will then have their own day in the court of public opinion. At this point, I'll yield. Thank you, everybody. Welcome to the Church of Violence. God bless you all. Cheers.
Thank you very much, my brother N6. Thank you very, very much. All right, I think we're going to jump. N6, also that cable stuff.